This task involves either creating or editing a sound file and then saving the completed sound as an MP3. We also need to edit it with some silences to an existing sound, to modify it using effects such as the tone, and we also need to change the balance to allow for some effective stereo sound. Well, let's have a look how we can do that. The program that we're going to use is a program called Audacity. Now, for this particular task, we could either create a brand new sound file or we could edit it. Let's have a look, first of all, how we can create a sound file. Well, very simply in Audacity, we can hit on the record button, and here you'll notice that Audacity itself is recording as I speak. Pressing the stop button will keep this file. And I could review this file and play it back at any time, and then in post-production I can edit it through. Button. And here you'll notice that Audacity itself. So very simply, I can record straight from Audacity. However, I'm going to look at doing something slightly different. I'm going to take a pre-existing sound and manipulate it. For this, I'm going to go onto the internet and I'm going to find a few pre-made sounds. A good place to find this information is a website such as Sound Bible. There's a variety of sound effects and royalty-free sounds. And there's also a search function to easily navigate the sounds that they have. For this task, I'm going to look at downloading a dinosaur sound. So I'm going to search for T-Rex. They've got a few examples of T-Rex sounds, and I can listen to them before I download them. And of the two, I think the first one was my preference. So I can go into it and I can download it as a WAV or an MP3. This file has now been downloaded onto my desktop. Within Audacity, I can open up my sound file that I've saved on my desktop, and I can play and check it's the one that I want. For either the recorded sound or the sound that I downloaded, I'm now in a process where I can actually save that sound in a particular format. To do that, I'm going to go to File, Export Audio, save it in a location of my choice, give it a name, and then finally, I've got an option of choosing a variety of different sound formats. In this example, I'd like to save it as an MP3 file. I can hit save, I can add metadata if I feel that appropriate, and then press OK. And now, on our desktop, will be our T-Rex RAW, and it's of an MP3 file format. Now going back into our T-Rex RAW, I might want to edit it slightly to make it sound a little bit different. And there's a variety of options that I can do in order to change this. I'm thinking first of all what I might want to do is actually reduce the speed at which the sound plays. At the moment it's as follows. But I might want to slow that down a little. And I can do that quite simply by my playback speed. So I'm going to reduce that a bit and see how that works. And for that one, I'm quite happy. Now I might also want to actually duplicate the sound. I might want to have it play once and then play again. And I can do that in a number of ways. The easiest way is to zoom out on my file. And this will show me on my bar at the top the number of seconds that are going by, and I can zoom in or zoom out where appropriate. So at the moment my clip is about 3.5 seconds. Well, for this example, what I might do is with the mouse select my clip and copy it. And then I'm going to paste it at a certain point. And so now when I play it from the start, I'll have my sound followed by a pause in the middle of silence and then the sound again. Now it might be the case that the silence isn't quite long enough, or the silence is a bit too long. Well, I can select certain parts of the clip and I can delete them out to reduce the time between the two clips. Or alternatively, I could copy a certain section which is blank and paste it in the middle to increase the gap of silence. Now I think I'm going to settle for something a bit smaller, and in fact I'll have my gap pretty small indeed, so I've deleted it off a few times. Now playing from the beginning, I'm happy with the length of clip, and I'm also happy with the silence that's in the middle. Now there's a whole variety of other things that I can do to my clip. So for example, I might want to take my second clip and change the pitch. I can select that, go to my effects and change pitch. I can either increase or decrease my pitch. Now, that sounds a bit strange for me, so I'm going to undo that. And going back to my change of pitch, I'm going to reduce that down a little. I can, of course, preview this at any point. That sounds a bit too close to the original. But that's a bit higher, and I'm happy with that. I've got a huge number of effects that I can change, including adding echoes, reducing any noise, changing the reverb. And in your project, it's quite important to try and change a few of the tones and to use a few of the effects to modify the sound that you've got. I might want to use Audacity to change the balance of my sound. I might want it to come out of the left-hand speaker initially, but then follow up by the right-hand speaker. To do that, I go onto my file and I can click Split Stereo Track. This will now give me two different tracks. Having split my sound, I can now essentially say that I want the top track to only be from my left speaker, but the bottom track to only be from my right. In doing that, I now need to do the following. If I want the first sound to be audible on only the left-hand speaker, I need to delete the track that is coming out of the right-hand speaker. So I can click on Generate and hit Silence. Now, from the top, my left-hand speaker, I want this top one to be silenced. In doing so, I've got the first sound, which will only come out of the left-hand speaker, and the second repeated sound, which is a different pitch, will come out of the right. So when I play this, I'm given two clues as to knowing that the setup is correct. First of all, I can actually hear the difference. I can hear my left speaker followed by my right. But also, I'll notice at the top, I've got my playback level, which will show me which speaker is doing which. So running this through, I can see initially my left speaker was very high, and then For the second sound, it goes to my right. And now, with my edited sound, I can of course export that, again, maybe as T-Rex final, and I have a huge range of files that I might want to export as, but again, I'm going to stick to MP3. I'm going to put it in an easily accessible place and hit save. Again, metadata options are available. And that's how to use Audacity to manipulate the creation or editing of sound files, adding silences, changing tones and effects, and also changing the stereo balance. Again, with your project, it's really important to add as much detail to this as you can to really make the sound clear and as advanced as you can. And that brings us to the end of the audio guide.